Hey everybody, back to business. Time to handle some business. Today, we're going to be talking about the story of Joseph. So let's get right into it. This is based off of Genesis, chapter 37 is where we're going to start. All right. Jacob was the father of Joseph. Joseph was 17 years old when he was pasturing in the fields in the flock with the flocks with his brothers, and he brought back a bad report to his father. His father Jacob loved his son Joseph more than any of his brothers. He even made him a robe. His brothers seen their father loved him more, and they hated him. Now Joseph had a dream. He told his brothers they hated him even more. The dream basically was interpreted that he would rule over his brothers. Then he dreamed another dream, interpreted the same as before. Then he told his father, but his father rebuked him. His father said, "Will me and your mother come and bow to you?" His brothers was jealous, but his father kept it in his mind. So Joseph was sent to find his brothers in the fields. So his brothers seen him coming and started plotting to kill him. So they took Joseph and sold him. They took him to Egypt. The brothers went back home and told the father they found the robe with blood. Their father thought he was killed by some wild beast. Meanwhile, Joseph was sold to an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard. God was with Joseph. He became a successful man, and his master, seeing God was making him succeed in all that he did. I'm going to pause right there for a second, only because I wanted to point out that just because Joseph was sold into slavery, no matter what he was doing, he succeeded. God was with him. So as we can see, God will be with us through a lot. All right. So his master put him as an overseer in charge over all that he had. Now his master had no worries at all, not even over the food he ate. Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. After time, his master's wife cast her eyes on him and wanted him to have sex with her. But he refused. Day after day she tried, but he refused. One day, no one was home. She caught him by the shirt, and he left the shirt and ran out. She seen he left the shirt and screamed out, claiming, claiming that he was trying to have sex with her. Then the master put him in prison with the prisoners of the king. But God was still with Joseph and showed him love in prison. The keeper of the prison, seeing how God was with Joseph, and put him in charge of the prison. Nothing happened unless he knew about it, and he was in charge over all. The keeper paid no attention to him, and whatever Joseph did was successful because God was with him. I'm going to pause again right there. See, even in prison, God was still with Joseph and still showed him favor. Moving on. The captain appointed Joseph to be with them, and he attended them for some time in custody. Joseph came to them and seeing they were troubled from they had a dream. So they told Joseph their dreams, and he told them what their dreams meant. Joseph told them when the dreams came to pass to remember him. After 3 days, the dreams came true, but he forgot about Joseph. Now, after 2 years, Pharaoh dreamed a dream. I only could imagine what Joseph was going through after spending 2 more years in prison. God's timing is perfect, and he is always right on time. So Pharaoh called the magicians and wise men to tell him what his dream meant, but none of them could tell him. Then the man that was in prison with Joseph, that he told him what his dream meant, remembering him. They brought Joseph out of prison fast, gave him a haircut and fresh clothes. Joseph was brought to Pharaoh, and he told Joseph that he was told that he could interpret dreams. Joseph said, "It is not me, but God will give Pharaoh the answer." God showed Pharaoh what he was about to do. There was about to be a 7-year famine in the land. So Joseph pleased Pharaoh and set him over all his house, and all his people shall order to take his command. He also set him over all the land. Pharaoh gave Joseph a wife. Before the first year of the famine, 2 sons were born to Joseph, Manasseh and Ephraim. Not sure if I pronounced that right, but I tried. In the first 7 years, the land gave plenty of food. Joseph was 30 years old when he became in charge. Now, all the earth came to Joseph to buy grain. When Joseph's father, Jacob, heard that it was grain for sale in Egypt, he sent his sons, but kept his youngest son with him. Joseph was in charge of all the land when his brothers got to Egypt and bowed down to him. They didn't know who he was at this point, but Joseph knew who they were. And Joseph remembered his dream. His dream came true, what God had showed him. Now Joseph was testing their truth and asked about his younger brother. They told him, no one was, no, they told Joseph that his youngest brother was with his father. So Joseph told them to go and get the youngest brother and bring him back while one of the brothers was held in prison until their return. As they were talking to each other, they didn't know Joseph could understand them. He turned and wept. Then he took Simon and bound him in front of them. So he sent his brothers on their way, and he gave them grain also. He put their money back in their sacks. When they got back to his father, they told all that had happened. When the brothers came back to Egypt, Jacob had a dinner cooked and them brung to his house. His brothers were afraid because they were brung to his house. Then he told them not to be afraid. God was with them. He brought Simon out to them. Joseph asked about their welfare and asked about their father. Then he seen his younger brother Benjamin. Joseph hurried out trying to find a place to weep. Then he came back trying to control his emotions. Then he said, "Serve the food." They ate and drank on the merry. Now it was time to send them back. Joseph told his servant to put his cup in the youngest brother's sack, told him to go after them, and when they brung them back, Joseph said, Who sack was my cup found in? Whoever sack my cup was found in would be my servant. Then he sent the rest back to their father, but they pleaded with Joseph because they said he was old and he would die if they wouldn't come back with the youngest brother. Now Joseph couldn't control himself anymore. He cried, making everyone go away from me. He made everybody go away from him. So nobody was there when he made himself known to his brothers. He wept very loud, so the Egyptians in Pharaoh's house heard it. He told his brothers to come close. He told his brothers to come close, told them he was Joseph, who they sold into Egypt. Then he told them, don't be upset. One second. Every time I think about this story, it get me. Whew. Well, I'm sorry. All right, here we go. Whew. He told them, don't be upset that they sold. Trying to shake it off. That they sold him because God had sent him to preserve life. It was God's plan the whole time. That's why God was showing him the dreams. So he told his brothers, it was not you who sent me here. But God. He told them to go back to their father and tell him that God has made him ruler in Egypt. Come down to Egypt and don't waste no time. Bring all your stuff, your family and all. And he wept on his brothers. Kissed all his brothers. And it was in Pharaoh's house. And he was pleased. His brother went back to their father. Joseph sent everything they needed to make the trip easier. Wagons, food. Told them not to quarrel on the way. Soon as they got back, they told their father Jacob / Israel. Because Jacob is Israel. that his son Joseph was still alive and everything that Joseph told them to tell him. He didn't believe them at first, but he seen all that Joseph had sent to carry him. The spirit, the spirit of Jacob believed it was enough, so he was ready to see his son before he died. Now he was on the journey. Joseph went to meet his father. He wept on his father's neck a good while. Israel said, now that he has seen his face, he knows that he is still alive, thanks to God, and he was ready to die. Pharaoh gave them the land of Goshen, so they could settle with their flocks, livestock. So, as the famine was still going on, Joseph bought all the land for Pharaoh because the Egyptians sold it, or because the famine was great. Joseph's father, Israel, lived in Egypt 17 years. He was 147. He was very old, close to blind now, but Joseph brought his two sons to his father to meet him. He never expected to see him again, but God has allowed him to see his offspring also. Now, as he was blessing Joseph's sons, it displeased him because his father was blessing them backwards. He was blessing the younger one like the older one. So he told his father and Jacob, said, I know, and refused to change it. Joseph's father died, 147 years old. He took him out of Egypt and buried him where he wished to be buried. When Joseph's brothers seen that their father has died, they thought he would hate them and pay them back for all the evil that they did against him. Joseph told them, do not fear, because he was in the place of God. As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. Brothers and sisters, never forget this point. Evil that is meant to be evil against you might be God's plan. It might be meant for good. Joseph lived in Egypt 110 years. He's seen 3 generations. Joseph was about to die when he told his brothers that God would visit them and bring them up out of the land of Egypt to the land that was promised to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, which his name is Israel. And he made them promise to take his bones out of the land of Egypt. Joseph died, 110 years old. Whew. Snot coming out my nose. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Oh, that was a tough one. Oh, that hit me. It's one of my favorite stories in the Bible. It's a very good story. Whew. Damn. I needed that. Haven't cried in a while. Actually, I haven't cried in a while. especially not letting people see me cry. But man, that's a good story. I tried to make that one quick for y'all. I'm still gonna put the scriptures up, but should definitely go read that story yourself. Story of Jacob. And it starts in chapter 37. So yeah, that's one of my favorite scriptures also. Where people try to make evil against you, God could easily have a plan of turning that evil that people think that they're doing to you for something good. So don't ever like think that's because you're going through something that's not God's plan, or He's just not gonna turn it around for you. And that's why, I'm not out here because I gotta be out here, but I'm out here because I want to be out here to deliver messages and just be a good example of really what we're supposed to be doing. Trying to do the same thing. I'm not Jesus, but I'm trying to do the same thing that He showed us what we should do. Go out and tell people. Started a ministry, Our Father's Business ministry. It's online ministry, but I still trying to reach people in different areas wherever God take me. But anyway, that's the story of Joseph. Real good story, man. Real good story. I love y'all. I'll be praying for everybody. Till next time. Peace.